Samadhi, which is the eighth rung or eighth limb. In some sense, Samadhi is an extension of dharana and dhyana, of concentration and meditation. Once again, if we talk about observer observing the observed, and we said that for dharana, for concentration, the observer is observing the observed, and I use an example, the observer is observing the breath, I am aware of breath, then all of a sudden I am aware of distraction, then I am aware of another distraction. This is the way concentration works, lots of distractions, but for moments I get I am aware of breath. Observer is observing the observed. And then we talked about dhyana simply means that the observer observing the observed is the same each time over and over and over. So for example, I am aware of or observing my breath. I am aware of my breath. That's meditation. Then what happens with samadhi on objects, samadhi on form, is where it appears. This is the only way, this is maybe not the only way, but it's an easy way to hold this principle. It's as if, I am aware of breath. And then if that sustains itself over some time, I'm doing dhyana on the object of breath, or on any inner object. It may be an inner image of teacher or guru, or a candle flame, or a flower, or it doesn't matter what it is. There's an observer observing the observed, and it's sustained. But then something, I say this word playfully only because I like it, I don't mean to make it philosophical. Something sort of magical happens. It is as if what happens is I forget that there's an observer, I forget that there's a process of observing, and all there is in awareness, there's not even a me to say in my awareness. That's why I say as if. It is as if all there is breath. It's as if all there is that candle flame. It's as if all there is that flower that's inside my field of mind. So a word to help that is collapsed. It is as if the process of the observer observing the observed has collapsed in such a way that all that is left is the object itself. Again, I know this is being repetitive, but we have to ponder this over and over and over again. It is as if the observer observing the observed collapses, and there is only the observed object, such as breath, for example. We are all doing this kind of thing already, all the time. All of us already know it. And we have experiences in life that we can call samadhi-like experiences. If you've had a busy day and you go home at the end of the day and you sit on your couch and you turn on your television and you get deeply absorbed in that television show, somebody might come in the room and say hello to you, and you don't even hear them. You tune them out. You're completely absorbed in that television show, or you're reading a book and you're completely absorbed in that. I think I talked earlier that you're absorbed in your Facebook page, or you're surfing. We all know this. You're absorbed in some activity. It's a samadhi-like thing. It's out here in the regular world. It's a deep absorption. This word samadhi is like an absorption in an object. And in these moments, when I say that the observer has collapsed into, it simply means that in those moments you're not aware of yourself. You don't have the inner experiential sensation, so to speak, of me being aware of breath. It's all there is breathing. And it's as if it's just going on its own. It's not that I'm here and I'm saying, I am saying, gee, who's breathing? It's not that. That's not even part of the awareness. All there is breathing. All there is the light of the candle flame. All there is the redness of the red rose, so to speak. and there is no awareness. And this is a samadhi, this is a grosser level of samadhi. Again, to contrast with this with dharana and dhyana. Remember, dharana is when there's a moment of concentration on any object. There's a moment of concentration, and then there's a distraction. Then there's moments of concentration, and there's distraction. This is just the way the mind often, usually works. And dhyana, as meditation, Rung 7, means that it's sustained, that it's the same burst of awareness over and over and over, and it's steady. So it's like I'm constantly aware of the breathing, or I'm constantly aware of this feeling of awareness of lovingness in my heart. There's no break, there's no interruption, it's constant. That's the dhyana. And then what is the samadhi or samadhi-like phenomenon? It's where there does not any longer seem to be a me who is experiencing this. There does not longer seem to be an observer observing through sense of touch or any kind of awareness the breath or object, candle flame, or awareness of feeling here. It's just all collapsed. And this is samadhi on an object with form. Means it's out here in the world. Another kind of samadhi, just let me mention it briefly just to get it said so you're aware of it, is what happens if we're doing this and we forget not only the process of observing, but what if I forget those objects? My mind and everything can still be in the same mental stance as if I am observing that object. As if I am observing the feeling here, or the red flower, or the candle flame, or the breath. What happens, here's the way of saying it, what happens if I'm aware of that one object and then I simply forget about it? I have no object in my mind field. I am now in objectless samadhi. I'm in the same mental stance. All of my whole mind awareness apparatus is in exactly the same configuration, whatever that means. It's all in the same configuration, but there is no object. So one is called the samadhi on object, the other is called objectless samadhi. If you want the fancy words, they are called samprajnata samadhi and asamprajnata samadhi. One with form, with object, and the other without object. Now, when we see this, what I was just saying, that there's a variety of different objects, we gradually come to see that the whole of the 8 rungs, including this samadhi that we're talking about, is actually a tool. It's an instrument to do the further exploration within. In the next section of the course, we're going to talk about what to do with the 8 rungs. First, we talked about foundation principles before we do the 8 rungs conceptually, and then right now we're walking through the 8 rungs themselves, and we're talking right now about samadhi. But collectively, those 8 rungs, what do you do with them? That's what we'll be talking about in the next section, and some more information and some more ideas about how we do this practice. But the point that I'm trying to make right now is that all of this, including this word samadhi, is not the end of the journey. This is the tool. I think I mentioned before the concept that if you go to 4 years of college, you are working through those 4 years so that there is a culmination, so that you have a skill, so that you can do a profession. The journey does not end with holding the diploma in your hand. That's actually a beginning. Many people have observed this when they studied for a career field and then actually entered into that profession, into that career field, and then they will say, this is extremely common to say, and then the learning really began. That's when I really started learning this stuff, is when I was out there doing it. The school was great, the college was great, the training program, whatever it was superb, and it was a wonderful time of life. But the real learning came later, and that's what we're talking about with these 8 rungs. The 8 rungs, the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 rungs together is a tool, including this word samadhi. Samadhi is not the end. It's a tool. It's an instrument that is used for the remainder of this, which leads you then to the final higher goals of what yoga is really all about. Here's another little surprise for you. Get ready for this. Right now, at this very moment, you are in Samadhi. What does that mean? You are in Samadhi. What is the object on which you are in Samadhi? The object in which you are in Samadhi is not me. I don't need to say that you're in Samadhi on me. You are in Samadhi right now on your whole perception of your environment. The totality of me sitting in front of you and your home where you're sitting right now, your work life, your family life, the country you're in, everything, all of your perception of this external world in its totality, in a sense, forms an object. If you think of the object called your car, you think of your car as an object. You can go look at your car and see those are the wheels there, those are the doors, here's the steering wheel, there's the brake pedal and the gas pedal. There are different aspects or parts to your car, but you still think of the car. So that's the totality. And similarly, the totality of your life experience right now through your conscious mind in the waking state of consciousness right now, the totality of all of that is in some sense an object. It is the object known as your life or your external world or something like that. The idea is that that totality, you're in Samadhi, or if you prefer the term, you are in a Samadhi-like state with that perception of reality. And notice that sometimes when we practice meditation, or we just have moments, sometimes they happen when we're in bed and we're in a semi-dream state, and you have moments where you suddenly realize that reality is vastly different than what it appears to be out here. You may not have language to put to it. You may not have words to describe it. If you're a poetically inclined person, you write poetry about this. If you're a songwriter, next thing you know, you're writing songs about the beauty of the diversity of the universe. These are wonderful experiences. But when we're not in those moments of that kind of insight, we're in this world as it is for each of us. And so each of us right now are in Samadhi on this experience of the world. We're in Samadhi right now. So what does Samadhi mean? To kind of restate this thing again, to end this segment of what we're talking about. Samadhi is a tool. It is the 8th rung of the 8 rungs. Collectively, they are all a tool. I don't want to try to go back through all of yamas and niyamas, but it had something to do with yamas and niyamas and how we're living in the world, and studying and introspecting ourselves has something to do with asana and pranayama and pratyahara, which then brings us to dharana, which is training the mind to be the observer observing the observed without distraction, but has distractions, and then that becomes meditation where it's sustained concentration on one object of my own choosing at a given time. And then when the observer observing the observed collapses and there appears to be only the observed and no longer am I even aware of an observer or the process of observing, there's Samadhi. And then collectively these 8 work together as a tool to carry on with what the Ashtanga is really ultimately about. And that's in the next section. So again, like I've been trying to remind you, please, this is a lot. I know this is a lot, and initially it may not seem very easy, but please be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, be nice to yourself, and remember that whatever skills you have in life, in training, it probably took years to learn. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a weekend seminar. It didn't happen in one book reading. It happens over time. And this takes time. We said before, you have to do this for a long time with a nice, wonderful attitude, and don't take a vacation. Don't take a break. Just keep sticking with it. Gently, gently, gently. Samadhi, the 8 rungs. Ashtanga Yoga.